Wysteria, energy twister. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and Cinderella is evil. We shall continue where we left off on the next chapter. I was dragged from my nightmares by someone shoving at me for the few precious hours of sleep I'd managed to get. My mind had swirled with laughing faces of everyone in town. Their taunts and teasing still echoed in my head, even when I was trying to awaken. "Anna, get up this minute." It was my mother. She was standing by my bedside and insisting I follow her commands. "Mother, what is it?" I sat up in bed and rubbed my eyes, trying to make the world unblur. "Prince Charming is here. He's visiting every house in the kingdom." Why would he do that? Now I knew it was the prince waking me from my slumber. I was even more annoyed by it. "He's talking about a shoe? Get up, make yourself presentable and get downstairs. We can't leave him waiting." Mother threw a dress on the bed before leaving me with one last warning look. As much as I didn't want to get up or care about damn Prince Charming, I obeyed my orders. I quickly wriggled into my dress, ran a brush through my hair, took one last look in the mirror. I wasn't exactly royal family worthy, but I would do. I doubted any more time or effort would have improved my appearance. I hurried down the stairs to see Mother and Zelly already waiting. The prince was with his valet, and he held a shoe tightly in his hands, like it might slip away from his grasp. The memories from the previous night came tumbling back at seeing him. Like the events were photographs in my mind. They flashed through it like lightning. The teasing, the prince embarrassing me, the way he pushed me aside to dance with Cinderella, the coach, my stepsister running away, and then the shoe. I knew immediately the slipper held by Prince Charming belonged to Cinderella. What I didn't know was why he was standing in our reception holding it with such ferocity. "This is all of us now," Mother answered. I looked around. Cinderella wasn't anywhere in sight. I gave Mother a questioning look and she just shrugged. She was probably sulking in her room like she normally did. We couldn't insult the prince by telling him she wouldn't come down. The prince looked around as if he was suspicious as I was. "Okay, then. I fell in love with a woman last night, one that I danced with, but at the stroke of midnight she ran from the ball without giving her name. All I have is this slipper that she dropped. I need to find her, so I'm going door to door until I try every maiden's foot in the kingdom. I must find my love." "How romantic!" Zelly swooned. "Perhaps I am your fair maiden." I had to suppress a laugh. Zelly was completely wonderful in her own right, but a big toe would never fit inside that little delicate slipper. Anyone would be able to tell that just by looking at the thing. "Oh, do try it on, Zelly, first," Mother commanded. I, trying not to sound too excited, I sat quietly and watched, waiting for the inevitable. The prince knelt to the floor in front of Zelly. She held out her foot as he slipped her toes into the shoe. Her toes were about all that would fit. "I'm afraid it does not fit," the prince muttered. He took the slipper back and turned to me. I momentarily panicked. Cinderella and I have the same size feet. We shared shoes on more than one occasion, back when we were all one big happy family. "Don't be shy, Anna," Mother smiled. It wasn't a reassurance, it was an order. I put my foot out and waited, praying that I was wrong. Perhaps my feet would be swollen from the hours spent in uncomfortable shoes the previous night. I hoped it would be so. Prince Charming held my leg as he slipped on the shoe. It went on with ease, fitting perfectly. I quickly scrunched my foot, doing everything I could to make it appear like it didn't fit. "Looks like it wasn't me," I said, taking my foot back before he could truly examine it. The prince stood, probably relieved it was neither of us. "It looked like it fit to me," Mother said as she grabbed the shoe from him. Before I knew it, she was bent over my foot and shoving the slipper back on it. I wriggled my toes, trying to keep them from going inside the slipper. I writhed and twisted, doing everything to ensure it was obviously not a good fit. Unfortunately, the more I struggled, the more Mother tried. Suddenly, the fine threads holding the slipper together tore apart. The entire shoe fell to pieces. All she was left were rags and material. "Oh, I'm terribly sorry." Mother stood and handed back the few remnants. "I guess it wasn't of good quality." The prince looked at what was now just a bundle of rags. I looked at my poor foot that was covered in red scratches from the attack. He was momentarily speechless before recovering. Undeterred, he continued like nothing had happened. There was no other ladies in the house. He looked around, like one could just spring out of anywhere. For just a moment, I was about to tell him about Cinderella. After all, I knew it was her slipper he clutched so tightly. But I remembered how awful he had been to me, and how effortlessly he had humiliated me in front of an entire kingdom. I didn't want Cinderella to be with such a man. She deserved better. She deserved a kind and gentle man, not one who would so easily hurt another. Plus, she'd run away from the ball as fast as her legs could take her. What had the prince done to elicit such a horrifying reaction? Whatever he did to her, he would not do again. I would make certain of it. If Mother found out Cinderella was the owner of the slipper, she would force them together to save our family. The prince would be able to give us plenty of money to ensure our survival. But she would be nothing more than a sacrificial lamb. It would be far better for Cinderella and the rest of us to be poor than a miserable princess. I couldn't do it to her. That's all of us, I replied when no one else was willing to. The prince and his valet wished us a good morning and left us in peace. I breathed a sigh of relief. He wasn't going to get his hands on my stepsister. I had saved her from a life of unhappiness. Mother dismissed us angrily, apparently upset that we weren't the ones who stole the prince's heart. It only solidified my resolve that I had done the right thing. Cinderella deserved to find the true owner of her heart, not be forced into marriage of convenience. After having some breakfast, I returned to my room. The rain was starting to drizzle outside, cancelling any of my plans to sneak away and do something interesting for a change. I picked up my needlework and got on to sewing, thinking how pleased Mother would be. During the mid-morning, the door to my chamber opened and Cinderella stepped through. "Good morning, stepsister," I greeted her. She let the few logs she was holding fall into my fireplace before sitting in the chair across from me. "Did you have a nice time at the ball last night?" she asked. I wanted to be snarky and tell her exactly what I thought of the ball, but for once she was being nice to me, so I decided against it. Perhaps she'd not recognise me as the woman the prince had tortured before running to her. "It was fine. Did you?" Cinderella gasped. Obviously I wasn't supposed to know she was going, so she had snuck out to go. I didn't know why she bothered. Mother would have told her to go. "I wasn't at the ball," she lied. "You and I both know you were. You danced with the prince and then lost your slipper when you ran away." Her eyes grew wide. It kind of made me happy to know I had apparently caught her in a lie. Apparently, the all-seeing stepsister. "It's okay. I'm not going to tell anyone," I assured her. She visibly relaxed in her seat. "But why did you run away like that? Did the prince do something awful?" I completely expected to hear some horrendous tale of Prince Charming. I'd been anything but. So, what I heard next took me completely by surprise. Something awful? No, he could never do that. I love Prince Charming. He makes my tummy flutter, and it's like I can't even breathe when I think of how wonderful he is," she gushed. I wanted to vomit. "So why did you run away then?" "I had to. It's a long story." She shook her head and clammed up. I didn't really need to hear the explanation. I didn't want to be pulled into her dramas. I had enough of my own. "Do you really love the prince?" I asked, obviously missing some quality in him that she saw. Her face was a picture of happiness with memory of him. I felt a pang of jealousy at seeing her so happy from just a thought. I love him with my entire heart. I never thought I could feel this way, but when I'm with him, it's like nothing else matters. "Prince Charming, we're talking about the same guy, right?" She nodded. "One and the same, but it doesn't matter. It's not like I can ever be with him. I'm sure he's found many other girls after I left." A noisy debate raged inside my head. I had the power to unite Cinderella with Prince Charming. All I had to do was tell her of the visit early that morning. I was the only one in the world who knew about them. The decision was purely mine. I wanted to protect my stepsister. I truly believed that Prince Charming was arrogant and couldn't love anyone more than himself. But perhaps I was wrong. Maybe it was just me that found him to be so. By trying to protect her, was I just denying her the happiness that she deserved? Did she deserve it? She'd never gone out of her way to be kind to me, but perhaps I could have done more too. In so many ways, Cinderella was just as arrogant and sulky as the prince. Perhaps they deserved each other, making a perfect couple. All I knew was that it shouldn't be up to me. I shouldn't be the one deciding on two people's future happiness. It was time I lifted my burden. You didn't find anyone else after you left the ball, I said evenly, trying to keep my own emotions out of it. Prince Charming loves you too. He kept your slipper and has been trying to find you all morning. Seriously? She watched me nod in confirmation. She sat up straight in her chair. I could practically hear her. Fastened heartbeat. I think it's meant to say, a heartbeat go faster, but it actually does say fastened heartbeat, not fastened. I don't know why. What should I do? I wanted to tell her to forget about him, but I kept my tongue. Instead, I decided to do the right thing, again. If we leave now, we could probably find him before nightfall. Would you do that for me? She clutched my arm with both of her hands. I couldn't back out now. Gather your things. Let's go to the prince. She grinned from ear to ear as she rushed away. I rolled my eyes. I hadn't seen anyone that happy since my mother's wedding day. And that's the end of that chapter of Cinderella is Evil. Thank you for listening, and do join me as we approach the final chapter of Cinderella is Evil. Many blessings. Wysteria. Energy. Twister.